Mick, great to chat again. Not long now until the Tales from the City launch, Volume 2, another edition.
Yeah.
I mean, fans have read the first one. What can they expect from the second version?
This is my difficult second album. No, it's gone very well. I think you're saying what can they expect? That was the problem, I think, with the first one, especially with the launch event. People didn't know what it was they were going to. And from all the feedback I got, people felt like me that it was being in a room full of friends and it was a fantastic event. I think it rehabilitated a legend, the goalkeeper, and I think that introducing Grant Holt in that sort of non-player mode was fantastic, and he's built on that experience. It was a wonderful evening. So more of the same is what they could expect. The book itself, I'm really pleased with. It's there are some darker bits in it, Jack. There are some some really revelatory pieces dealing with some difficult subjects, but I think that what it does is that. Not patronising your generation, but people like yourself, it might introduce you to some people, give you an opportunity to. What I think it does is that there are two eras in the book of the club history which are dealt with by a lot of different people. So you've got a lot of people giving different views of other people, and I think that gives a rounded perspective of some of the people who've shaped our club, and I hope that I know some of them will be there on the night, and I hope that people come along to that. We're holding it at the club this time, the launch, so that feels good. I am genuinely pleased with it. I had some. So the publishers are not Norwich people; they're Watford people. They approached me about book 1. It was quite clear the format they wanted for book 1. I had some different ideas for book 2, but actually, what we said in discussion was that there was such an appetite for book 1, and it's their bestseller. It's outsold their 5 Watford books. It's smashed their Sunderland book, Jack. So that's not much.
Norwich fans for you.
Well, it is. I think it is. I think it absolutely is. I think there's a genuine appetite for
it's truth, really, isn't it?
Well, I hope so. Yeah. I hope so. For people who care about the same thing. And so there was an appetite for book 1. It's still continuing. So we thought book 2, more of the same, different people, obviously. 11 fans of people who've either played, managed both, or have some sort of claim to celebrity. And I am genuinely pleased with it. More importantly, my wife is, who's in everything I've done in life has been my worst critic. And she was my final proofreader, and she put down the final proofs. And I'm sitting there, she'd pencil marked the odd comma here and there. She said, "It is good, Mick." Brilliant. Now that's my target audience, a Norwich fan.
I mean, one thing I have noticed from the sort of people writing in the book this time is maybe some of the people will be more familiar to the older generation of fans. Is that something you wanted to do? I mean, what would you say to the younger fans who maybe aren't so aware of these people? I mean, what would be your selling point for them to get the book?
Well, I had it was my call, and it is absolutely true that there are people of a previous generation. Some of them won't be around for another 30 years, so it's a good time to talk to them. But I think in any area of life, you have to know the history to understand the present and to have a perspective of the future. I genuinely think that, and I think that it isn't some great academic work, but by getting people talking about really important eras and really important people. I mean, there's one club servant there. People who can read the blurb on the website can work it out for themselves. But he played 500 games. Our first ever promotion to the top division, our first ever Wembley final. Then he managed an FA Youth Cup winning team, and he managed us to the top 5 in the Premier League. If he doesn't deserve a chapter in a Norwich book, who's going to do it?
Yeah. I mean, that's brilliant. Let's quickly get a chat on Norwich City at the moment. This video is going to be published after today's game against Cardiff. I think you've been very like-minded to myself, actually, on Twitter in recent weeks, still remaining positive, which I think is good, considering the recent kind of Norwich City meltdown. I mean, what are your sort of main reasons for staying positive in what's been a fairly turbulent time for Norwich City fans, you could say?
We've been relegated. I wasn't positive when we were relegated, but because my job for 4 decades was chronicling other clubs, for instance, I remember the team from Suffolk went bankrupt in the 90s because they couldn't get rid of one player. His wages were crippling them. So I thought, well, we're relegated, we will have to unload some. And because I didn't expect us to didn't unload enough. I didn't think, and you can't force people to leave. They're on our wages, they're contracted, we might have to pay their contract up. So relegation, which hits income by 60%, is always incredibly damaging. the problem for Norwich was it didn't damage us last time because of incredibly well managed club. This time we pushed the boat out in January in terms of wages and signings, and it's left us with a finite budget. And I understood that going in. I'd have liked us to sign another forward. Aguero might have been available, but seriously, I'd have liked us to have signed another forward. There isn't anyone associated with the club who wouldn't have liked another forward. But because as the window went on, it became clear that people weren't leaving. The arithmetic changed from what it had been at the start, and it didn't happen. So, but I would, if knowing all that, you'd said to me at the start of it, we'll have people like Pritchard and Canos. I had no idea about the Portuguese, about Nelson, but there seems to have been a switch in emphasis to signing real quality young players. And I think that's what we have to do as a club, where we are. We either sign players from lower divisions with something to prove, which we did under Lambert, and carried us as far as it did, or I think to get real quality in, we have to sign people that aren't proven yet, but have the potential to be top class, and I think that's what we've got. I do think that's what we've got. Not just because I'm friends with Dealey, but that is my genuine opinion.
Brilliant. In terms of the last talking point, where can people get tickets for the Tales from the City launch, and what can they expect on the night?
It's all on the Norwich website. It's Dealey's Canary Catering, and so that's where you can get the tickets. You can there's a Facebook group, Tales from the City. You can look at their Twitter feed. I'm sounding as good, as all across new media like you, Jack. And what they can expect from the night is to be surrounded by people who care about this club. That's as much as I can promise. But it will be full of people who care about this club and have played a part in shaping it.
Mick, thanks very much, mate. Thanks very much.